Alright, we're in game. So I am making a recording today to talk about Haohmaru. A lot of people think that the character is not very good, and I actually have a really high opinion of him, and I really like playing him. And I thought maybe if I make a video, I can help people maybe understand him better or use his strengths or whatever more, because he's really a dumb character. He's really good. So a lot of things that people look at when they're looking at a good or a bad character is like, particularly, what are the character's like biggest strengths, right? And let's take an example, like go to extreme, right? Zasalamel is a really good character, right? Because he has a really good critical edge, which means his meter usage is pretty good. He has really good horizontals for controlling your movement. He has really good lows, and he has pretty good damage, right? Take a character like Nightmare. Nightmare is really high damage character. He can explode on you and maybe win a round and even one soul charge. He's good at being defensive, making things whiff, backstepping. But he doesn't have an I-12, so it makes him like kind of slow technically. Right, so he's like a slower character. You have to like play at a different pace than everyone else. And Zasalamel's kind of more like a standard character. You can play at the same pace as everyone else, but you kind of set it for them because they always have to keep in mind you could just auto GI them, right? And let's take a character like Mitsu. Excuse me. Mitsu is like the well-rounded, balanced character. Soul Calibur 6. He has, a lot of the tools that all the other characters have. He has, stance mix-ups like Relic or Miss with the mid, low, all that good stuff. He has pretty good block punishment, right? Because he has a 14 frame CE. He has a really big BB, like his BB is way bigger than Haohmaru's. He has good lows, like really good lows, like his 1 BB is huge, 53 damage low. He has a couple other lows, and he has really good pokes. So it's not really anything that he's really lacking at, but like he's not too strong in one area, right? And so my point is, like coming to a conclusion, right? Is like Zaz and Nightmare are kind of like more extreme characters. They are better in other areas, like very concisely, right? But a character like Mitsu is very well-rounded, and Haohmaru is basically the same way. But the thing is with Haohmaru, he's a well-rounded character with like a lot of the same strengths as other characters, but he takes higher risk than other characters, which is something that you always have to account for, right? Haohmaru is like, a short mid-range character, kind of like Mitsu, not really like a super far-reaching AABB, but like his 6B reaches pretty far, his 66A reaches pretty far, right? And this move reaches really far, like really far, right? That's a 66B. And he has like a lot of good buttons in standing, He has an I-12 kick, which is a high horizontal, like other characters. But other characters have a vertical one. His is a horizontal because his AA is I-14. So you're probably thinking, is AA's I-14, what's his BB? Well, it's I-16, right? It's kind of slow. Why is it slow? It's slow because Haohmaru can walk up to you and do this. That is B plus K. That is a 70 damage I-28 punish. You're never going to get it on block almost. But if you read something big, like let's say CE or something, you get big punish, right? So you can get really big punishes with Haohmaru all the time. So that's kind of why he's a little bit slower, but he's still around the same frames as other characters. And another thing about him is that he has 60k. 12, and this one's really dumb. It's -2 on block, so like even if they block it, it's still your turn. If they get hit, you're +6. If they get counter hit, you're +10. Haohmaru's throw game is really good because he can cancel anything. His throws with 66B. You can do back throw and get the execution. You can do A slide B, or you can do 2B and cancel stuff off the back throw, which makes his throw game really deadly, especially because you can do stuff like this. You can throw someone and then immediately combo into a critical hit, even if they break the throw or +8, right? Which makes this like throw game a little scarier than like someone like Mitsu, right? They have a decent front throw and a decent back throw, but there's never the potential to get 80 damage unless he meets a special condition, which is getting Sure Blade. But you know, outside of that, like Haohmaru can always do this, right? So that makes his throw game really good. One of the problems with the character, if you want to view it as a problem, is that a lot of his buttons got pushed back on hit, right? So Mitsu's standing like right here at the tip of the star, and when I hit him, he gets pushed way far back, right? Same thing with BB, push back on hit, right? So if you were to try and catch someone's immediate movement, even though you're like +6 on his AA, or you're +4 on his BB, you might not because of the pushback, right? So conversely, instead of trying to catch their movement, just use your own, because his backdash is insane. So Haohmaru, biggest strength that he has is that he has the like farthest moving backstep in the game. Like, he just covers so much space. You can make almost anything with. At frames, you probably shouldn't be able to. And the thing about Haohmaru is when you make stuff with, like, it hurts. You know, you backstep someone's 2A and like you do 70 damage, or even something like this. Which is Rage Explosion, something that you might be aware of. So, key part of him is, even though he doesn't have the best ability to keep his frame advantage, it's not so much of a big deal because you're going to spend most of the time playing hit and run. So Haohmaru, I think that's a really effective way of playing him, is you get your frames, and if people try to directly disrespect you or try and catch you, you can just make them whiff and then catch them, punish them, which is really effective. If you're ever in a situation where like a lot of times people will put themselves at +0 and they'll try in 2A. The reason why is because you can't step a 2A at +0, right? And there's a really good amount of counterplay that Haohmaru has built in for +0 situations or -2 situations, right? He has a couple of them, which are really strong. I'll go over them right now. I use B slide K. This is an 18 low. You can't see this. Like, you're not going to block this on reaction, right? And it forces crouch on hit. So as you can see, Mitsu's forced crouch when he gets hit by this one, right? Which effectively puts you at +0. And then, let's see. He has 2-2K, which is +0 on block, and it forces crouch on block. So that's a +0 situation. And then he has 4K. This is an I-18 high horizontal, which is +0 on block, and it has decent pushback. So if you look, he gets pushed like a decent amount far away from you, right? Which is really good. So those are 3 +0 situations with the character that you can use. One that is kind of uncommon, but you can also use, people aren't going to be aware of it yet, is 4-1B or A+B. This move is 0 on block. If I can fucking do it. Really good chip damage. Does about 18 chip damage on block, which is really strong. Like that adds up after a while, which is another thing we'll go into, which is one of his really big strengths. You can chip away at people really well with this move and put yourself at +0, which is the situation where his 2A, or sorry, not his 2A, his full 4K, this move, which is a really good move, will tech jump stuff. You get a pretty high reward, 84 damage, just for jumping someone's low or their 2A. So part of this character is avoiding things and punishing them for doing a certain option, right? Which works really well because his movement is so strong. So if someone were to try and catch you, you just backstep away from them and then use your really big 6xp because it's really far-reaching with Punisher. You read their 2A, you can do a lot of damage or they're low. Or you just straight up like interrupt them. Right? With some plus on block situations like B6 or 4 from B. So one thing to note is that his A plus B is not plus on block, but it has good pushback. So like these things look pretty good, but they're kind of hard to land. So like what actually makes his character good, right? Man, like this is trying to always read people's options all the time is kind of hard. You can't always be right, and you can't always punish someone. So what you can do, which is what I do, it works out for me a lot. It's been working out for me a lot lately, and I don't think anyone's really talked about it. But Haohmaru has really strong basic Soul Calibur tools. And what do I mean by basic Soul Calibur tools? What I mean is that Haohmaru has a really good throw game, right? He has like fantastic lows. Like for example, this is his 1K. This one right here. This is an I-18 low as well. Sorry, I-20 low, and it's +4 on counter hit, which is really good. His 2K is pretty good. Like it's a vertical 2K, but it has decent reach for a 2K. And good damage. So 21 on counter hit for 1K or 18 normally, and then 14 damage for his 2K, which is like pretty sneaky lows, right? You just kind of like sneak a bin. Another really good low he has is D-Slide K, one we talked about earlier. It's an I-18 low that forces crouch and hit +0. And then he has 1A. This is semi-reactable, but it's only -14 on block, and it's -2 on hit. And then he has 1B. If you wanted to go with like basic Soul Calibur lows that are pretty safe and pretty good on hit, you have 1B. This is -2 on hit, and it's only -12 on block. And it's an I-26, so you're gonna have to like really test your opponent's reactions on whether they're going to block an I-26 low. Some people don't recognize the startup of this move, so they don't block it. Even if they do block it, like the worst thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna get 2-8. That's literally all that happens when they block this low. And apparently Mitsu's 2A doesn't make sense. So you can just do that. But anyways, that's the most they can do is just 2A you. And the pushback is pretty good on block, so it's not too bad, right? Let me have him 2A again, sorry. The other one is D-Slide K. This is also just like a -12 on block low. So again, using these lows, they're like they have a really good reward, and they don't associate a lot of risk, right? So you can use these to poke your opponent and get them to be active with their defense, right? And move around and stuff. Other good things with Haohmaru is he has really good mids. Like in my opinion, he has really good mids, right? This is a big mid, really fucking big mid. His 6B, really far-reaching big mid, right? Which leads to a really good situation on counter hit. This leaves you +8, and if you go in a stance, you are +16, but the opponent is forced to crouch in that stun state, so you can't actually hit them with the I-14, which is relevant, but it's +16 because this low and this mid are I-18, so the only counterplay that they have to dealing with those when you do this is the GI, right? And you can just do nothing, and if they whiff a GI, easy 70, 80 damage, right? So that's a pretty good mid. We haven't even gotten to the best mid yet. He has 3A. This is like a pretty decently sized mid, and the reason why I'm mentioning this one, because you might not think like it's like too special, right? But it has pretty good frames on hit, right? His 3A is +4 on hit, And the thing about it is that certain characters can't actually punish this move. So you can effectively kill their movement, or get them to stop ducking, or hit them while they're ducking, whatever the situation is, right? And all you can do is get 2-8. It's a -12 on block mid horizontal, but it recovers in crouch, so like they can't punish you, right? They can only 2-8. And you can space it out so that you won't be punished, right? So it comes with like good spacing coupled with this great movement, makes things not even unsafe. Okay. And then there's my favorite move. I think this move is really good, right? You want a really good mid, because if all you have are lows and throws, people are going to keep ducking, and you need a really good mid that can like make their offense more active, or sorry, their defense more active, so that they can't always just duck and they can't always just statue guard, right? They can never do that against Haohmaru. So the reason why is because he has this move. This is 2B. This move is really good. This is an I-14 mid. I'm pretty sure it's a mid. Okay, sorry, special mid. Right? It's a I-14 special mid, but the thing about this move is that you can cancel moves into it, coupled with this roaring cancel technique, which if you've been playing the character or go through the combat record or his move list, you'll see he can cancel moves to other moves. And the reason why 2B is so good is because when you cancel a move into it, he is plus on block. There is no correct counterplay to how to deal with all the moves that he has that he can cancel into. Right? So essentially this is like a poke that sets you up for pressure. Right? They can't like always answer this correctly. If they were to try and GI, really big damage. There's just no correct counterplay for this move specifically, right? Because you can just do it. Same thing with all his other cancel moves like E slide B or C6B. But the reason why I mentioned this one is because it's such an easy input and it's so quick at I-14. So you can essentially just like use your lows, use throws, and use this move, or use this move, and like keep poking at them and gnaw at their health, right? Because eventually they're going to have to do something to beat one of those things, right? So like backstep or like hit a button, right? And at that point, like you just walk up and then you use your movement, and then they'll whiff, and you get a good whiff punish, right? This move is also really good because it functions in the same way a 2A does, because it's only -6 on block, so it's the same kind of situation, but having those cancels makes it plus on block. This is a +10 cancel. Like all these moves are just really hard to deal with, and they have those really good lows. You have those decent mids. You have this really good poke, and you have that coupled with his amazing throw game, right? So if you have a good throw game and you have really good lows and you have some pretty decent mids, or even really good counter hit mids, like 4B for example, doesn't do a lot, but it's pretty good. You have a decent character, you know what I mean? He's not a bad character, because a lot of people really think that he's like a really, really bad character, right? And all you want to do is use these really basic tools, and use your movement pretty well and cause people to whiff, poke them and throw them. And when I say throw them, I say throw them like a lot, because this will kill people who are in gut. You can get a knockdown and they have to wake up in your face because it's an untechable knockdown, right? They cannot tech after this move. They always have to wake up, and if they choose to roll on the ground, you have a safe move. I-14 will catch the roll, which is 6k. So they have to always be active with the way that they're dealing with you. The only thing is that you have to also be wary about what you're doing, because if you fuck up, then you are going to get launched. Because this move is minus 18, okay? And then this is 14, but it's a reverse mix-up, and it's still kind of risky to do. Whiffing anything is pretty bad, because the recovery is really bad. If you get wrong in the CE, this move is like minus 38, so like almost anything is a punish at that point. Like literally anything. I can't even block that because it's minus 38. So the risk is really high, but you can minimize it by just using good movement and pokes and a lot of throwing, right? Now, if you're wondering, well, I'm using these lows, I'm using these pokes, I'm using these throws, and they just keep backstepping me, or they GI me, right? That's another basic Soul Calibur thing, right? When you're just playing the small caliber, he's really good at small caliber. So if there's a situation where you're going in for the poke, and then they GI you, right? Or you go in and they throw a button in your face, and now you've lost your turn. All you gotta do is block, you know, or duck, right? And that comes into play in small caliber in that his defensive tools are pretty good. Especially his full crouch game. From his full crouch, he has a multitude of options, and they all tech crouch. Like there's like so many tech crouch moves that this character has that he can just go under like the majority of horizontal highs or highs in general that people will try to throw out. Especially this move. This move stays crouched the entire time. So you can, you know, have pretty good defense in trying to play neutral as small as you can, while also making your opponent have to guess on what you're doing, and then mix them up with basic small caliber things like 3B. You know, you can get pretty good damage off of 3B. That's about 56. If they don't tech, you can get about. Let me turn off tech beginning. I'm failing to execute really bad. I'm at 75, and if they do tech, there's a Yukami trap here. You get around 80. The only problem with his launcher 3B is that sometimes you're not in range to land 4A, which is the follow-up move that you're supposed to use. Hopefully they change that at some point. And you'll know it'll work when you hit someone in the side. Because for some reason when you do this, the way their feet are landing and the pushback you have, you just don't land for it. Or it's inconsistent, which kind of sucks. But you know you can land it if you do a side hit. A good way to do this is to use like 2-2-B. Because 2-2-B is literally his 3B, just from sidestep. Okay? And you can get really good damage just by mixing your throw and your mid, you know? That's really it. There's not too much else that you're gonna like do with this character. There's some crazy things that you can do with this character though. Like, I don't know if it happens with this character, but his 4K has a super tech jump on the 18th frame, so normal moves that you shouldn't actually be able to go over, he'll just go over, and it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but that's just how it works. I'm trying to think of a move that's more than +6. I'm not really demonstrating it very well, but he can go over things. Anyways, he can go over certain mids, mostly vertical mids, like this move. Yeah, so as you can see, we just jump into 6 plus B. This is a 918 mid vertical. It's a thrusting attack. To be particular, he can jump most like low end horizontal mids or thrusting vertical mids, and then some horizontal highs that have a lower hitbox, but almost no thrusting highs, like thrusting vertical highs. Yeah. If there's other things that you're struggling with, just message me on Discord. I'm Florida Man, and that's all I really wanted to go over. Just the basic stuff. I hope it wasn't too long, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you.